fears don't really exist anymore. Being authentic and being grateful, and don't worry about tomorrow. Motivation is a happier and healthier life. Death at the end is only a transformation. It's not an end. I have actually this book, The Power of Love, and I like personally the power of love, because I think power of love is the most authentic and the highest of all the experience we can have. Love is the beside of fear, which I don't really like. Love is the most powerful emotion we can experience. There is a quote which goes, "It's not love which makes the world go round, it's the denial of death." And I really like the topic of the fear of death, because my highest value is freedom, and you can't really reach freedom if you are fearful of death. And there are many books around it. It's also fascinating that our own mortality is such a heavy topic for many of us. Like, I know a lot of people, they're very fearful of dying. I always say, what's the biggest certainty in life? In my opinion, it is that we are going to die at one point. So, isn't it silly that the most certain thing in life, it's not paying tax or other things we might see as for sure. It's the only certainty we have in life is we are still ending on the compost, I say. So we are mortal beings. We are close to reach immortality. I will speak a little bit about that because we are on a turning point, actually. There are two very important, also from a spiritual standpoint, two very important events which are going to be happening in the next 10 to 20 years. We are reaching immortality, and we are experiencing for the first time in history that life exists outside of matter / AI. We are developing consciousness outside of matter. Of course, you could say that the computer is a machine or it's matter, and yet still it's a form of life outside of animal or humankind. There is another quote I like. It's more like you can't really start living if you have not overcome the fear of death. Because to enjoy life or to be present and grateful about life, you have to make peace with the fact that you are going to die. What was also great, the COVID, I was really, I must say, everybody was depressed. I had an amazing time in COVID, and regardless of your view about COVID, for me it was a blessing, because COVID was the ultimate trigger for society to show, hey, we are mortal beings, because this virus and bacteria can wipe us out in no time. It's also, I need to say it, for me it's silly to wear a mask, for example, because just from an evolutionary standpoint, when you see that virus and bacteria has 1 billion years of consciousness, and we are here 200,000 years. And we are so fearful of these external forces, or let's say that we die 10 years earlier than we should. Instead of focusing to have a happy and a fulfilled life, like I do, then it doesn't really matter if I die tomorrow, because I really had a good life. Maybe the last thought, I had a disease, a brain tumor, it's called gigantism or acromegaly. And for 2 days I was crying and drinking alcohol and didn't know if I survived, and it was really a big turning point in my life. And then I switched my view or perception of the situation. I was like, no, I see it as an opportunity. It's a really, in my case, it was a blessing, because that event made me overcome the fear of death, actually. And I haven't seen doctors for 10 years. I did alternative medicine. I shared with a friend who's a very renowned biologist, a really world-leading expert in the field of physical and mental happiness. And I shared with him that I had 10 years outside of hospitals, not seeing doctors, taking medicine, feeling shit about it, gave me so much life quality that I would be willing to depart at the age of 42. I'm now 42. I would say if one can reach that state of being that you say it doesn't matter how old I'm gonna get, it's more a question how much life quality I can have. That really changes the perception. And maybe lastly, all this longevity hype. I'm also in that space. I work as an advisor for a US startup. And we are everything else than longevity. What we are focusing is, our thesis is you're gonna have a 10 years longer life and also a more happier life, much more happier life. But the motivation is not life to prolong a miserable life, as I say. Many people in the longevity space, they're completely mind-fucked, and fearful of death, that they want to live longer. And yet, our approach is, you're going to have a longer life, but it's not the motivation. The motivation is a happier and healthier life, and the consequence is you're going to have a longer life. So, overcome the fear of death is, for me, even also in terms of business, one of the requirements almost that I take on a client in coaching. If they are at least willing to talk about the fear of death or exploring why they're fearful of death. Because death at the end is only a transformation. It's not an end. Death, in my opinion, it's the most exciting moment, the second most exciting moment after birth in all of our life. And there is a lot of evidence. It's not esoteric bullshit. There is a lot of people who had near-death experience. They were already gone. They can recall how it felt, like that it was complete bliss the moment we're gonna die. So why would I be fearful? I'm fearful of death because I think something is ending and I need to leave everything behind. Even for beginners to the topic, just get comfortable that it is certain that you're gonna die. And you have to get comfortable at one point. If you don't do it today, latest the moment you're gonna die, you have to get comfortable with the moment or the situation that you're gonna die. And maybe also, many religions are pointing out that there is in Christianity, they come up with this story of fire. You go through this last fire of whatever they call it. I say, yes, it does exist, but this fire, in my opinion, it's a reality check how authentic I have lived to myself. Because you can fake all outside, you can be the biggest shot, you can betray all the beings and people outside, you can be a gangster and whatever. The moment you pass over, you're gonna realize how authentic you have lived, as I shared before, how authentic I have lived my gift and how authentic I have shared my gift with the universe. And the moment you die and you realize it was all a masquerade, big act of something, I believe it will be very uncomfortable. How am I going to die? I have a wish of course I don't want to suffer. Nobody shall suffer. I would say you live 150 years or longer if you are not even raising a thought how long you're going to live. You raise a thought how good of a quality of life you have. That's the importance. The importance is you focus on the quality of your life, and therefore the consequence will be you have a really happy and a long life. I think it's also very silly and stupid, but that's humankind, because in animal world doesn't exist, that we are so focused on when we're going to depart. There is actually, I need to share, in women there was a study, once they have given to child, their acceptance of being or departing or dying is much higher. You see, there is an evolutionary need also. we reproduce, and then we are more confident or more easy to die because we have accomplished one of our big. For female is even more important to the need or the longing, the DNA program of reproduction. So that's for me also very fascinating. Having a near-death experience is the ultimate tool to get comfortable with the fear of death. It can also be, there is a book, we will refer it, it's called Falling Upwards, I love. So it describes two parts of life. One is going outside, impress, success, all the things, then something happen. And the something happen can be depression, burnout, accidents. In my case, it was a cancer. And then I go in the second phase of life. The second phase is going inwards. You focus who you are, why you do what you do, more on the emotion. You really become more present in the now. And of course, those moments help you to overcome the fear of death. It's no joke. I mean, you can also, as I shared, meditation is I think it's no way around it. That sooner or later, if you want to get comfortable with the fear of death, you have to meditate in order to learn more about yourself, understand what is fear about. I could talk many sessions just on fear. Fears don't really exist anymore. Fears is in many ways fake. 10,000 years ago, fear was really, it was real. If I left my cave, there was a tiger outside. We were so vulnerable to cold and heat before fire. Can you believe how that was? Then food was an issue, constant issue. Then diseases was a constant issue. Nowadays, I say the chance of dying today is, in my opinion, less than 1 to a few million. Why would I worry about it? We are living in the most safe time of human history. The past 200,000 years, we would have needed to be much more fearful. But yet again, it comes from this fearful history that we are, even today, fearful of many things. Maybe a practical, I want to share this. There was I think it was on Facebook, somebody was asking how I can switch off the matrix or the fear. And I say the best is switching off TV. That's the real medicine. Switching off news, because what is news? News is only death, more killing each other. Nothing valuable in news. I don't know. Tell me something what is valuable in news. Nothing. So it helps if I can switch off this constant fear of something. It helps to overcome the fear of death. And as you asked it before, the fear, when you overcome the fear of death, all other fears are gone. I don't really have fears. And it doesn't mean I'm running over the street without cautious. I like life too much that I don't want to be killed in a car accident or from a bus. Fear for others or loved ones, that's a tough one, because the issue there is attachment. We are getting so attached to loved ones. I mean, it's also nice because, again, I just shared love is the power of love is very strong. So if I have a partner or kids, I of course, it will affect me greatly if they gonna die, for example. The thing there is, we also need to face reality. They can always die, I mean, before me. It's more like, if I die before them, it's no issue, because I will be departed and it's not my problem anymore. It's like, but if they die before me, it has an effect and it leaves me alone. It's a question really of loneliness, sadness. And yet I say you can get comfortable with it, because at the end, it sounds maybe a little bit sad. We come and go alone. I haven't seen anybody coming and going together. It doesn't exist. So you come and go alone. And in spirituality, they call it the non-attachment is really key. From the moment we get attached to somebody, we need to disattach or disconnect. And I would also say with love you can do a lot. With love and acceptance, even if it happens that you are not, let's say you are happy in that moment. It changes. In many religions or many areas of the planet, they celebrate the death. In Mexico, for example, once a year is the day of the day of the death. I struggle sometimes with Europe that dying is such a big sad event, because I don't see it as a big sad event. It should be celebration for, even if the loved ones are going. We can be grateful for the time we had and wish them a nice journey, or like I would say it's at the end an issue of perception. Giveaway, yeah, the issue is a little bit with overcome the fear of death. It takes time and dedication. It's nothing new. If you have those moments in life, as I shared, depression, burnout, cancer, all those big events, if you really see the sign, it can be a transforming moment within seconds. I also see many people don't see those events as a blessing. They want to run away. And it always comes back. I know people who went 3 times into depression before they started to see it's a gift from life, but it's maybe wrapped in a different package. Can you mimic the fear of death, like driving fast, that you have an experience? I would say it's very silly, because it's counterproductive. Then my answer would be you're not valuing life, and that's very risky. That's really silly. So you can't really, there is no fast track for I want to overcome the fear of death. 2 more things: being authentic and being grateful, and don't worry about tomorrow. That for me is also, why would I worry what's tomorrow? I'm here and I'm grateful, and I don't need to know if I die tomorrow. It won't change anything of today if I'm happy and grateful, even if I know I will die tomorrow. Maybe I do a few calls, give a few hugs, and it won't change that much. It shouldn't be that I have to run through a list of 100 events I want to tackle off my bucket list. Of course, you shouldn't have a life like this. So if you're happy in the here and now, you will most likely also be not in trouble if you have to go tomorrow.